Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to This is Mariya. The topic of the day is piercing. How does piercing impact you energetically? Are there spots in your body that are no-nos as far as piercing is concerned? What are the safest spots in your body to have pierced? Yes, and overall, how does piercing skin impact your overall energy and well-being, health, all of it? That is what we're going to dive into in today's episode. Just one thing before we dive in and get started, I would love to invite you to a healing circle that I'm hosting on March 23rd. It is going to be devoted to ancestral healing, healing your lineage. We're going to dive into both your mom's side of the family as well as your dad's side of the family, because those most likely have very different karmic knots and karmic issues to work through. And we're going to heal pretty much the full gamut of issues, from health to abundance and money-related things to things that are patterns, relationship patterns, whether that is romantic relationships, parental relationships, things like that. And even potentially we're going to look into things like family curses and even the black magic. So this is going to be a very, very massive healing experience. So, we are going to bring in light language. We're going to bring in a lot of spirit guides, a lot of beings of light to assist us in this clearing and healing. And if this is something that you're curious to explore, thisismariya.com under live events. You're going to be able to find all the info. All right, my darlings, let's talk about piercings. This has been requested by you, so thank you so much for requesting it. I know I did a video on tattoos. Some of you loved it. Some of you hated it. The ones of you that resonated with that have started making certain shifts in your life around the subject. And so I figured that piercings are just as important as tattoos to address from the spiritual perspective, because they do impact your energy and they impact it to a great degree. Now, let me start by saying that not every piercing is created equal. Depending on where on your body you have piercing, it's going to impact your energy to a very different degree. Not only that, but depending on your natural energy flow and a lot of other factors, you may be more sensitive to energy or less sensitive to energy. In the same way that some people are more emotionally sensitive or have sensitive skin, and other people are less emotionally sensitive and have less sensitive skin, for instance. Not that the two are not related. This is just an example. Your body may be more prone to being sensitive towards piercings as opposed to not. However, there's not a single person on this planet that is not going to be affected by piercing one way or another energetically, depending on and regardless of, irrespective of what part of the body is pierced. Okay, you guys may be familiar with meridians. Meridians are essentially, call it the ley lines or the energy vessels of your body. In the same way that you have blood vessels for your circulatory system, you have energy vessels that are permeating your entire physical body, your entire system. Now, your energy vessels are a part of the broader, call it auric field. And your energy vessels are just as important as your blood vessels to your overall health, vitality, longevity, all of the above, quality of life, wellness, all of it. You have major meridians, you have minor meridians. So essentially your body is a map of meridians. You have certain points of convergence of meridians, meaning there are all of these. And the way to think about meridians is almost like threads of light that are permeating your body. And the reason you need that is because essentially you need energy to be distributed through your body. And so the energy is distributed through your body via these vessels called meridians. Chinese medicine, a lot of Eastern healing modalities study the meridians of the body. They have been mapped very thoroughly. And a lot of healing modalities have even been birthed as a result of that mapping of the body. One of them is acupuncture, right? So anytime you go to an acupuncturist, essentially what an acupuncturist does is they're working on the meridians of your body. And by very intentionally placing needles in certain spots on your body, they're able to release energy, to amplify certain energy streams, unblock things, etc. Right? So essentially, call it the art and science of acupuncture is that art and science of working with the meridians in your body. And it has been proven that that modality is effective. It has been serving humanity for thousands of years. The reason I'm bringing up acupuncture is because it is front and center and kind of very similar to that concept of piercing your body, because you're using essentially metallic objects, or the different rings and earrings, etc., to wear on your body, right? So essentially you're bringing in the metallic objects into your body anytime you have a piercing. Metals are interesting. Metals can be conductors, so they could and they do attract energy to themselves. Metals can also block certain energy streams, depending on where they're placed. And so essentially, piercings and the impact they have on your body have everything to do with how the metal reacts with your energy system. And, without kind of like further ado, but also without necessarily spoiling too much, overall, there are a lot of concerns when it comes to piercings and having, especially a lot of them, around your body, because every single piercing will change your energy flow. In very rare instances, having a part of your body pierced can improve your energy flow, but that is very rare because essentially if you get the spot right, it serves as an acupuncture needle, and it may actually enhance the energy flow through a particular body or organ or through a particular body system. However, even the most acupuncturists will tell you that even if a patient or somebody who seeks their advice, their services, really needs a certain acupuncture needle administered to a particular spot, having that needle stay there in perpetuity is potentially problematic because that energy is going to start accumulating, and at one point it may become too much, right? So let's start with the fact that our bodies are incredibly wise systems. Our bodies were designed to endure a lot of things, the harsh environments, stress, etc., changing eating habits, all of that, right? Anytime you start introducing new and unexplored things into the system without the proper understanding of the energetic makeup of that system, you essentially open yourself up to the risks of messing things up. Now, does it happen 100% of the time? Absolutely not. There are some piercings that by a streak of luck have been applied properly, and so it actually helps a person instead of hurts the person. But those examples are maybe, call it, about 15 to 20% of piercings these days could actually be helpful. The rest are not. So the piercings are potentially an energetic issue. What I wanted to do in this episode is to talk about the major parts and kind of like almost like rank piercings from definitely no-nos, like starting with the most dangerous place to have pierced and potentially going down. And then eventually we're going to get to the parts that could be okay for you to have pierced. And, hopefully that provides insight into what actually happens, because the impact is different depending on what part of your body you have the piercing in. And let's start with probably the worst part. Like if I were to advise you to never pierce that part of your body, because like literally in 0% of cases, is it additive? Is it beneficial? I would say that never would I ever recommend to anyone to have their navel pierced, the belly button. That is like the absolute worst. Why? The belly button is one of the major convergences in your etheric body. And you don't really have to go too far for proof of that. If you remember that is where you were attached to the womb of your mother as she was gestating you, as you were a little baby inside of her womb, right? Literally, your lifeline was attached at the navel. That is the part that nurtured you. That is literally kind of like the first, one of the first things that got created was your navel. So it is your center of power, right? It is also where your solar plexus is. It is your center of life force. And pretty much anytime you put a piercing inside of your center of life force, what ends up happening is you cut that life force. The way our navels are structured is that when we are babies in our mother's womb, we're getting very physical sustenance through the umbilical cord that's attached to the navel. Once we're out of the mother's womb, and that navel and the umbilical cord is being cut, there is an energy channel that still remains between you and your mother. That energy channel is going to sustain you for the rest of your life, even if your mom is dead. That energy channel is preserved. That energy channel is alive. That energy channel fuels you, nurtures you. Even if you don't have a good relationship with your mom, even if you think your mom didn't treat you right, even if you don't even know your biological mom and you were adopted, you still have that natural connection to your mother through the umbilical cord and through her to the life force of the universe. Another very critical energy that very often gets absorbed through your navel is the energy of the sun. So a lot of solar codes would very naturally be absorbed by your navel, right? Because it's also one of the solar parts in most people's bodies. You depend on life force energy for most of your activity. Whether that activity is physical, mental, energetic, emotional, it doesn't really matter. The whole kit and caboodle is dependent on life force or chi. Because of how critical the life force energy is, the amount of life force energy your body has is going to have a direct impact on everything that you are and everything that you do. It's going to have an impact on your moods. It's going to have an impact on your energy levels, like meaning, are you chronically tired or not? It's going to impact your health in so many ways, because once that cord is cut, once you're not able to receive chi, your body is going to have a much, much harder time with the immune response, right? So healing, any type of regeneration and restorative mechanisms. So when most people go to sleep, their body restores themselves. If you have your navel pierced and you have a piece of metal obstructing that flow, nothing is happening as you sleep. Other than, well, I guess you're going to get some rest, of course, but your body is not reassembling all of its broken parts in the same way that it would if you didn't have a restricted flow in that sphere. What else does that mean? Restricted life force means that you're essentially going on starvation mode energy-wise, and your body is not getting as much as it needs. Now, does it close, let me rephrase. Does it close 100% of your life force? No, it doesn't. If it did, you'd probably drop dead right the moment you got that part of your body pierced. However, it dramatically diminishes the life force. Now, your body also has reserves of life force. And those reserves, they're going to go down over time unless you're being replenished. So every system of your body, every organ system is going to be impacted when your navel is pierced over time. And it's an additive effect. The parts of your body that are going to be impacted the most are obviously the digestive system. Your liver, too, is going to be impacted a great deal. Your pancreas. So a lot of different systems actually are going to be impacted by just this one piercing. Not only that, when you yourself don't have enough life force floating through your body, that means that your ability to give life is also diminished. So the next system that's going to suffer is the reproductive. So fertility issues, and even if you're able to have a baby, it could be a difficult pregnancy. It could be difficult childbirth. Your child may be malnourished, so potential neurological and all kinds of other things, deviations from the norm for the baby, right? So the baby may be born sick, et cetera, having disease, having chronic conditions. That would have been avoided if you didn't cut down the chi, right? So if you're malnourished in chi, the baby that, you are carrying inside of your womb is going to be malnourished, even if you're able to conceive. So big no for belly button piercings. So that is my number one no-go. And literally, I cannot think of a single instance where energetically and from the perspective of health, wealth, happiness, piercing your belly button is a good idea. Just cannot think of a single instance. Okay, going down. I would not recommend piercing your tongue. Don't like that. For anyone. The tongue is the map of your body in the same way that the soles of your feet are. So literally every single organ in your body is contained within the tongue. So by creating a piercing, and usually those piercings are thick because you have to have a very thick piece of metal for the tongue, usually because the tongue is thick, right? So there's a lot of metal that you would be carrying in your body if you choose to have your tongue pierced. So most likely that one piercing is going to affect multiple organ systems just because of how much real estate is going to take up in your mouth. So cannot think of a single instance where, again, it's not going to impact your health. So most likely, this one does not impact your chi as much. So it's not as bad as having the navel pierced. But it's close because the organs that get impacted would get impacted pretty dramatically. And there's not a part on your tongue that you could pierce that does not impact an organ in your body. And the way you should think about it energetically is if you have imagine that, your tongue almost has an etheric copy or an energetic copy of all of your organs. And now imagine taking a knife and stabbing that energetic copy. Do you think your organ is going to feel good? I don't know how much you guys know about voodoo magic, but voodoo magic, a big chunk of it is actually based on taking a little doll. Pardon my, I'm sorry for the analogy, but it's like taking a doll of somebody, right? Projecting that doll upon somebody and piercing it with a needle. And you guys know this is terrible black magic, but this is a way to meaningfully hurt a person. By the way, I don't endorse any black magic whatsoever. In fact, I'm extremely anti-black magic. So don't take this as an invitation to do any kind of harm on anyone on this planet. In fact, if anything, this is an invitation not to. But it's the same concept applies here. It's like you're taking a knife and you're stabbing one of your organs if you're piercing your tongue. That is essentially what's going to happen. Now, you may not put the two and two together because your organ has its own chi, a reservoir of chi you were born with, right? And this chi is being used again for restoration, for repairs of any kind to the organ. Now, when you pierce that organ with a metallic object, almost like a knife, that organ doesn't overnight go down, but it is an additive impact. And it's almost like being stabbed over and over and over again, right? You may get lucky, you may get unlucky. You may get, I don't know, what if you're stabbing your own heart? What if you're stabbing your own liver? What if you're stabbing your own, I don't know. All of it, all of your organs are very, very important. Very, very necessary, as I'm sure you guys know. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. So in other words, hey, if you want to do voodoo magic on yourself, so be it. You can pierce your tongue. I personally don't think it's a good idea. Okay, the next one over in terms of problematic. The next one over is hard. I would probably put 3 things on the same spot, and I'll tell you exactly what the issues are. On spot 3 of not so great places to pierce. Now, let me take one more thing actually, because I was not going to mention that, but piercing a nipple is not great. I wasn't going to talk about that, but probably the third one after the tongue would be nipple pierced. Not great. Nipples are extremely sensitive, as you guys well know. And they, not only do they contain a lot of, your sensuality and a lot of your feminine aspect, actually, regardless of gender. Nipples are also your connection to your own wants and needs. Your ability to understand yourself, actually, to some degree, lies in the nipple, and specifically around understanding your wants and needs. So it's like piercing a nipple is almost like cutting out the barometer, like your own barometer that tells you what's right, what's wrong, your own intuition in some ways, especially for females. I would say if you're a male, piercing a nipple is less problematic, but this is more common with females. And for women, it's a big no-no. I would not recommend this on women. A lot of your femininity, a lot of your motherly instincts, a lot of your attitudes towards yourself as a woman, towards yourself as a representative of female gender, dwells in that area of your body. And so essentially, cutting that and piercing that organ can really cut down your feminine power. As a woman, specifically, right? So anything and everything that is related to feminine energy can be impacted with a pierced nipple. Now, you decide, obviously, if you don't care about your feminine energies, that's totally cool. But that could impact what are some examples of that, depending on what you pierce and where and how, what that could impact is your ability to be nurturing as a mother or as nurturing as you can be. Your ability to connect with your child, because remember, your child connects to you through the nipple, right? Your ability to feel happy and fulfilled as a female may be impacted. Your ability to find the right partner, actually, and attract them for the right reasons may be impacted. So your romantic relationships may be impacted. Not loving the piercing on the nipple for any reason, for anyone. I mean, I guess for males, it's a little bit better. Less problematic for men than women. Okay. The next one over is, there are three others that are very similar to me in terms of how problematic they are. Now, I feel like now we're starting to get into, it's not neutral territory yet, but we're starting to get into like less dangerous piercings and something that, if you really wanted one, you could definitely consider one in those spots of your body. And it's up to you. And I'm just going to tell you what the impact is, and it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. The three spots are brow, lip, and chin. Your chin, we'll start with the last one. Last but not least, your chin is actually the part of your face it's very forward-looking, and it usually protrudes from your face, and it is a part of your face that is responsible for forward movement, for things like setting goals, for things like achieving something in the future, for, it's very much responsible for like action in some ways and feeling free to take action. So if you're piercing your chin, a few things are going to be harder for you. Decision making is going to be harder for you. That is aligned with your purpose. So that is a part of the energy that can be cut out here. It's going to be harder for you to, like I said, make decisions, but it's because it's almost like your ability to get intuitive guidance around your future is going to be constricted. So your intuition would also diminish. Your ability in some ways to take action, so that is the more masculine part of what you're doing, that's going to be impeded as well. So, and forward movement. So piercing your chin and wearing, a permanent piercing there may make it harder for you to do what you want to do in life and get where you want to get to, right? So forward movement is going to be impeded. And also, chin is straight in the middle of your face. The piercings that are on the very center, like on the very, like alongside the central axis of the body, are problematic because they're hitting your main meridian, like your main energy center, which is like that upward flow of energy, which is right along the chakral system, right? That is the most dangerous place. Like your central axis is the most dangerous place to have a piercing. There you go. That's part of the reason why tongue is also bad. Because the way to think about it is, the tree, right? The tree has the trunk and then it has the branches. If you mess up the tree's trunk, the tree's dead. Same thing with the main meridian of your body. Not to be morbid, obviously you're not going to die from a piercing. Like thousands, millions of people have piercings, but energetically, it's almost like you're going to be like energetically impaired potentially, right? Because again, like going back to my tree analogy, if you cut a tree's branch, it's fine. The tree is going to survive. If you cut one of the tree's roots, the tree is going to be okay. If you but if you mess up the tree's trunk, it's a pretty big deal because nothing can grow. Most likely, the tree's going to die. And so the same concept applies here. Anything that has to do with the central axis of your body, if that gets impaired or impacted, that is going to have a profound effect on the rest of your system, right? Because if the tree's trunk is hurting, the branches are hurting also. So that's like the rule of thumb. So that's, going back to the chin, right? Your forward movement, that energy of achievement, a lot of your masculine energies are going to be impaired with a chin piercing. Lip. Don't love the lip one just as much as I don't love the chin. Lips are usually connected to, energetically, it's a vibration of Venus. So your lips are usually a dead giveaway for your sensuality and how well your Venusian connection is. And so if you're piercing a lip, that means that you are giving up a part of your connection to Venus. What is Venus? Venus in the solar system is akin to the sacral chakra. So Venus is the sacral chakra of the Milky Way. Sorry, not the Milky Way, the solar system. What does that mean? You're giving up your creativity. You're giving up your sensuality. You're giving up pleasure, potentially. You're giving up beauty. You're potentially giving up the ability to appreciate beauty. So your Venusian energies, which are very healthy feminine, the energy of this very magnetic feminine, is going to be impacted and impaired in you, right? So that's the lip piercing. And then the brow. The brow is connected to the masculine energies again, but this ones are the energies of thought, the energies of insight, the energies of knowledge, the energies of higher centers too. That's all the brow. So the energy of receiving higher knowledge, the receiving insights, aha moments from the universe. So if you're piercing your eyebrow, it's going to be harder for you to optimize your thinking. Your intellectual abilities, your brain capacity may even be impaired. The ability to make fast decisions, the ability to think on your feet, and again, the ability to download from your higher centers from the universe, whatever, like the information from the Akashic records and things like that. I'm not saying that, it would be like if you're a channeler, all of a sudden you pierce your eyebrow, it's going to be impossible for you to channel. No, but there may be distortions around the information that you're getting, and it may be harder for you to get it, right? But yeah, a lot of the brain activity is going to be impaired with a pierced eyebrow. So these are the three. Now, if you are not worried about the symptoms, then you're potentially fine. The two places where I feel, now, there's no such thing as safe piercing. Let me just say that before I go into the two safest places. Because your body may be sensitive enough and may be so sensitive that any kind of piercing is going to cause your body a lot of, call it pain and discomfort. For some of you, it's going to be very physical pain. By the way, if you pierced something, like, doesn't really matter what on your body, and it just doesn't, heal very well or very quickly, that's how you know you hit a meridian, and you're not supposed to have a piercing in that part of your body. So it's best to remove it. So if it hasn't healed properly really quickly, and the wound continues to bleed, like the little hole, the little puncture wound continues to bleed or, God forbid, inflame, that is a dead giveaway that you're not supposed to have a piercing there. So listen to your body and follow the signs. It doesn't really matter if you are piercing the most conventional place, such as an earlobe. If that causes you pain, a lot of pain and discomfort, not like the process itself, but the healing of it, or if wearing, call it earrings, or any other piercing, causes an inflammation, causes pain, causes discomfort, that is how you know you are not meant to do it. Your body is saying a big, loud no to a piercing. So do yourself a favor and remove it. There's nothing wrong with you, and it's not that your body just doesn't like a particular metal, or your body wants gold, or your body wants silver, or whatever. It is your body telling you, no, you hit a nerve, so to say. You hit a meridian. This is my lifeline. I don't want any metal preventing my lifeline, my life force from flowing in this place. So what your body is telling you if you're getting physical pain is, please remove me. I don't want it. So listen to your body is the best thing you can do. Because if you do not, and you suffer through the pain of the piercing and all of that, then that pain is going to go within somewhere, and it's going to find a home inside of an organ or a system of an organ system, to do the same thing, only covertly and chronically, until it's potentially too late and you have a bigger issue to deal with, right? So that pain is not going to go away. It's just going to become invisible to you, because your body is going to do only so much knocking on your door without any answer until it just stops knocking. And then it's like, okay, well, they don't care. Why would I tell them that this is not okay, that they hit a nerve, that they hit a sore spot, right? Okay. With that, the two potentially least problematic places that I see from the energy perspective are the ears, specifically the earlobe, probably the safest. Once you start getting up the ear into the cartilages and stuff, the ear also has pretty much every single organ known to man inside of it. The earlobe is probably the safest spot. But depending on your level of sensitivity, even an earlobe may be a no-go for you. Although that's probably about as safe as they go, right? But still watch how your body reacts. Does your body love the metal? Does your body love the earrings? Does your body want to get rid of it? Like, if you cannot wait to take your earrings off at the end of the night after a particular function or you've been to work, that's how you know you're not meant to wear any, actually. Yeah. And another spot that is more or less okay is the nose. Now, the nose is on the central axis of the body, and I said that that's usually a no-go. But usually, of course, you're piercing not the very center, but usually it's one of the nose flaps, and so it's a little bit better because it's further away removed. And from the energy perspective, having one of the flaps of your nose does not really pierce does not really restrict the flow of chi. So that could be okay if you really wanted to go edgy, would be the nose. Also, to be honest, if you want to be edgy, they're making all these nose rings and all of the other cool stuff that you can wear that you don't have to pierce your skin. Would they impact you? Now, any piece of metal you put on your body impacts you, whether you'd like it or not. Rings, earrings, necklaces, watches, all of it impacts your body. And so you should always be listening to how your body responds to metal. Now, containing yourself inside of the metal, as opposed to having the metal pierce your skin, is not the same level of invasion. Piercing is very invasive to your body, right? So a ring would not impact your flow of chi in the same way that a piercing would, right? So a piercing is always a lot more in your face, front and center, and impossible for your body to avoid. Yeah, so just be careful with that. Now, with the ears, like I said, going outside of the earlobe is also potentially problematic because you can pierce one of the organs. And that could create a quote-unquote chronic condition that's not really a chronic condition at all. But it is one of, it's essentially an impact from the piercing. Yeah, earlobes are okay. They're okay 60, 70% of the time, about 30% of the time, 40% of the time. A particular person or a particular spot that you hit may be problematic. So listen to your body and always, always, always honor what it tells you. If it starts inflaming, just get rid of the earrings. And same thing for the nose, right? Like if it starts inflaming, then your body's telling you something that you really hit a meridian. If you hit a meridian, that's not good news because that means that your body is going to get less energy. It's going to process less energy. Because of that, eventually you are going to be impacted, and you're going to maybe impacted in ways that you cannot measure, cannot understand, cannot predict. It could look like, all of a sudden there is a streak of bad luck, but it could be connected to a piercing, believe it or not. All right. I wanted to see if the collective has any questions to me on the piercings. Ooh, I love this question. So the first question is, okay, I had my navel pierced. I'm going to remove that piercing based on this information. Do I need to do anything other than removing my piercing in order to get my chi back? Or does it happen naturally? Oh, actually, thank you for asking this because I think it's a great question. Now, if you remove the piercing, as soon as your physical body is healed, like there's no hole, quote unquote, or even if there is a little bit of, because like sometimes, especially like with ears, I don't necessarily see that too much with the navel, but with the ears, sometimes you had them pierced a while back and you haven't really worn any earrings for like years, and your ears, there are still holes in them. And they're still pierced. So we're gonna set that example aside. But usually your body would naturally recover the chi that and the meridian is going to get recovered as long as you remove the interference, right? Because the metal is a temporary interference and your body is an extremely wise system. So your body always looks to harmonize itself anytime it feels a disharmony that it can address, right? So don't worry about it. Now, specifically with the navel, it's such an important aspect, right? That you may want to do an additional exercise around rebuilding your channel of receiving the energy from your mother and the universe. Even prior to the body doing that work for you. Usually, the restoration period after you remove the piercing from the navel is between 4 and 12 weeks. Within 12 weeks after removing the piercing, your chi flow, your energy flow, your prana flow, if you will, is going to be fully restored. If you don't want to wait to the 12 weeks, then you want to imagine that you are rebuilding it looks like a golden thread, literally like an umbilical cord that connects you to your, actually the navel of your mom, like your two navels are connected. And so as you rebuild that cord, it looks like golden, right? So in your, in a meditative state, if you're feeling any distortions in that flow, or if that bridge, that thread is not thick enough, you want to rebuild it. But anyway, just like go in there with golden thread, a golden thread of life and resurrection and restoration and repair. And imagine like you're a weaver and you're weaving and expanding that channel that comes right out of your navel and goes straight into your mom's navel space as well. And through that, imagine that you're just taking in all of the energy from the universe, all the gilded energy, and all of that energy is coming back into your belly button, into your body, and just watch yourself replenish and restore. You may also imagine that there is a vessel inside of your body that is specifically for the energy of chi, and that energy is golden. And as you are going through this exercise of restoration, just fill that vessel up with golden energy to the brim so that you are fully restored and connected. Thank you for the question. It was a great one. What else can I answer for the collective as it relates to the piercing? The question is, can a piercing actually help energetically? The answer is yes, because a piercing is essentially acupuncture. However, even with the best, most effective acupuncture session, it's not an ongoing thing. It's a very temporary infusion of metal into your body. So if you're looking to use metal and meridians to create an impact in your life, I would recommend acupuncture over piercing, if I'm being honest. However, if you're looking for some guidance, it may be helpful if you asked your local acupuncturist or somebody that you really trust, your own acupuncturist, around where they would recommend piercing, or where that piercing would be least invasive to your organism, and so that you can make sure it doesn't hit any of the main meridians. So in the same way that you sometimes may want to ask an astrologer for an opportune day for like a date for moving things or having surgery, the same way you may want to ask your acupuncturist around where it would be okay to pierce a part of your body. All right, I'm going to take one last question from the collective. Anything that you were curious about as it relates to piercing or having things pierced? The question is there an imprint, an energetic imprint that remains even after the body is healed from the past piercings? The answer is yes, but that energetic imprint is fairly minor. So in other words, it's very, very hard to remove a tattoo, but it is a lot easier to remove a piercing. So you can get that, thanks to the regenerative power of your skin and your tissues. It's a lot easier to bring your body into its original pristine state. All right, my darlings, I hope this was helpful for you. If you're watching this on YouTube, please let me know in the comments how this resonates. And if you have been intuitively already feeling, that piercing may be problematic, let me know your input. Let me know your feedback and how what your experience with piercing has been as well. Sending you a big virtual hug, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, loves.